While everyone was still recovering from 2025's hits, this year came out swinging, and it hasn't stopped. We got a Resident Evil that reminded us why the franchise is untouchable, a Neo that finally went open world and nailed it, a Pokemon spin-off nobody saw coming that somehow became Game of the Year talk, and an indie card game that broke 500,000 concurrent players like it was nothing. And here's the thing, we're not even halfway through the year yet. GTA 6 is still on the horizon. Fable, more to come. But right now, let's take stock of what 2026 has already given us, because honestly, it's been a lot. These are the best games released in 2026 so far. Let's get into it. Yacht Club Games made a Game Boy Color game in 2026, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Mina the Hollower is a technical masterpiece, 4 colors per tile, respecting actual Game Boy limitations, but the level design is chef's kiss. You're exploring, platforming, fighting with this monochrome palette that somehow feels more beautiful than anything in 3D. This is indie gaming at its most creative. It was kickstarted to oblivion, and for good reason. If you appreciate craftsmanship and don't need 4K graphics to be impressed, Mina is your game. It's already being called the indie darling of 2026. Monster Hunter finally figured out how to make a spin-off that doesn't feel like a side project. Monster Hunter Stories 3 is a full turn-based JRPG where you're bonding with monsters like they're your actual friends. The combat is flashy, the story is Game of Thrones level political intrigue, and the characters are genuinely likable. You're not just grinding, you're invested in this world and these creatures. The character writing is sharp, the monster designs are incredible, and it stands tall next to the best games in the mainline series. If you've written off Monster Hunter as not for me, this might be the entry that changes your mind.
Imagine Dead Space, but you're actually terrified, and every death permanently changes the world you're exploring. Saros puts you on planet Carcosa as Arjun Devraj, this grounded, tactical enforcer with Rahul Kohli doing a genuinely unsettling voice performance. The permanent progression system means death isn't a restart. It's evolution. You lose something, you gain something better. The combat is methodical and tense, and the atmosphere is suffocating in the best way. Metacritic's got it at 88. This is one of those games that doesn't blow up on social media, but absolutely destroys everyone who actually plays it. Hidden gem status confirmed.
Edmund McMillan, the guy who made The Binding of Isaac, made a creature-collecting roguelike, and it's absolutely unhinged in the best way. Mutagenics is a turn-based adventure where you're catching these bizarre creatures and building decks to fight through challenges. Every run feels wildly different. The art is quirky, the mutations are unpredictable, and there's so much chaos hidden in the mechanics that speedrunners are probably losing their minds right now. It hit 88 on Metacritic for a reason. It's polished, weird, and weirdly addictive. This is the kind of indie game that quietly becomes your most played title of the year.
So, Capcom's new IP is about a moon mining facility where everything goes wrong. You're Hugh Williams, trying to figure out why the robots turned hostile and why Earth went silent. Your partner? Diana, an android girl who doesn't just heal you, she hacks enemies to expose weaknesses. The puzzle solving is woven into combat in a way that feels fresh. You're not just mashing buttons, you're thinking strategically. This game was stuck in development hell for years, but Capcom's patience stayed off. It's got that dark sci-fi horror vibe with third-person action that just clicks. The fact that this came out of nowhere and became a dark horse favorite tells you everything about how good Pragmata actually is. Resident Evil Requiem takes your favorite moments from 30 years of horror and puts them all in one game. You're playing as Grace Ashcroft, a young FBI analyst investigating something connected to her mother's death, and it leads straight back to Raccoon City. But here's who's got your back: Leon S. Kennedy. This veteran's dying from his own Raccoon City exposure, and watching these two characters bounce off each other while fighting zombie hordes is incredible. The combat is tighter, the horror is genuine, and it respects what made Resident Evil great without just copying it. Critical consensus is unanimous. This is the horror game of 2026. If you haven't played it, you're missing the reset button the series needed.
Okay, stop calling it Dark Souls with loot. Nioh 3 is its own beast now. Team Ninja took everything that was bloated about the first two games and threw it out. The mission repetition? Gone. The gear score treadmill? Obliterated. What's left is pure, punishing combat that evolves with your skill. These open field maps make exploration feel organic instead of corridor-based, and the combat is insanely fluid. Swords, spears, claws, mix them seamlessly. The story's still mid, honestly, but nobody's playing Nioh for the plot. You're here to get destroyed by a boss and come back stronger. This is Team Ninja at their absolute peak.
You're not a legendary racer anymore. You're a tourist rolling into Japan with a dream. Forza Horizon 6 flips the script completely. Neon Tokyo streets, snowy mountain passes, rice paddies. The map diversity alone destroys Horizon 5. And the gameplay? They added a fog of war system where discoveries actually feel rewarding, not just checkmarks on a list. You're building your garage estate, collecting regional mascots, dristing through Shibuya at night. It's currently sitting at a 92 on Metacritic. This is the most refreshing racing game in years, and it just dropped this month. If you haven't experienced Japan like this before, Forza Horizon 6 is literally calling you right now.
Crimson Desert is Pearl Abyss's passion project, an open world so dense and gorgeous that just existing in it is satisfying. The combat is skill-based and demanding, requiring real positioning and timing. You're not overpowering enemies through stats, you're outplaying them. The world's got secrets everywhere, and exploring feels rewarding because you're constantly finding something unexpected. The story's grounded, but doesn't overshadow the moment-to-moment gameplay. This is a game that respects your skill as a player.
Reanimal is limbo with friends, and that's both the best and most confusing description possible. You and a friend are solving puzzles, exploring this haunting world, and there's an emotional story underlying everything. The atmosphere is heavy. Think dark, industrial, occasionally creepy. But you're not alone, and that co-op focus changes how the game feels. Watching a friend struggle with a puzzle and figuring it out together creates this genuine connection. Released in February, and it's become a sleeper hit for co-op enthusiasts. If you want something that'll hit you emotionally while also challenging your brain, Reanimal's waiting.
High on Life 2 is unhinged in the best way. You're a bounty hunter with a talking gun that has personality, fighting aliens across bizarre worlds while everything's absolutely ridiculous. The humor doesn't always land, but when it does, it destroys. The gunplay is satisfying, the movement feels fast and loose, and you're constantly encountering something that makes you laugh out loud. This is the kind of game that doesn't take itself seriously, and that confidence is contagious. February release, and it's the gaming equivalent of junk food. You know it's ridiculous, but you're having too much fun to care.
God of War, Sons of Sparta continues Kratos' story with the same weight and grandeur you'd expect. The combat is brutal, the cinematography is insane, and the emotional beats land hard. Watching Kratos deal with his legacy while facing new threats creates this incredible tension throughout. The pacing is perfect, intense combat moments broken up by genuine character development. If you loved God of War Ragnarok, this steps up the intensity while maintaining that intimate storytelling. Released in February and immediately proved that Kratos' journey isn't done yet.
Yakuza Kiwami 3 brings Kiryu back, and the story grapples with his legacy in ways that feel earned, not cheap. You're watching a legendary character deal with mortality, purpose, and what it means to leave a mark. The narrative is tight, the side content is genuinely fun, and the combat still has that weight and punch. This isn't some nostalgia cash grab. It's a farewell that respects its protagonist. Released early this year and absolutely deserved the critical acclaim. If you followed Kiryu's journey, this chapter hits different.
Lego Batman is back, and it's actually open world. You're combining brutal melee combat with stealth detective work in a Gotham built entirely from Lego. Building puzzles are integrated into exploration, and the sheer size of the map is ridiculous. It's not just a cutesy Lego game, there's real depth here. The character roster is insane, and watching Batman and Robin's dynamic playout through Lego-fied Gotham is weirdly charming. This dropped in May and absolutely delivered for fans who thought Lego games were just for kids. This is for everyone.
IO Interactive, the Hitman developers, made a James Bond game, and it's not what anyone expected. First Light is a young Bond origin story where you're entering the MI6 training program. The stealth gameplay still has IO's DNA, but the action set pieces are actually insane. You're not just methodically planning anymore, you're in these explosive moments that feel like Bond films. Early reviews were glowing. If you're skeptical about a Hitman studio making a Bond game, stop. They nailed it. This dropped in March and immediately became one of the year's surprises.